When you do this research, and when you spend as long time as you have doing what you're doing and satirising people, are you cynical? Do you become cynical?
No, I think there's an important difference between cynical and sceptical. I think there's a very cynical attitude at the moment. I think there's a big standoff between the politicians and the media. I think that there is a huge hostility going on there. I think the programme is sceptical because I still believe that it's possible to conduct politics and for each generation to improve on the last generation and not to make the same mistakes. So I'm sort of always disillusioned, but I hope I've never actually become cynical. Because, of course, I mean, I think it's difficult to be more cynical than the government. You had Alistair Campbell on here, of course, last week.
Yes, he did.
And he used to hate his impression in our show, by the way.
Oh, did he? He didn't like that.
Because he always used to say, "Who's that fat bastard who does me?" Because he's very, very keen on his fitness. And I once met him at a David Frost garden party where, you know, Frost has, you've been to them and you never know who he says, "Oh, come and meet the Pinochets," you know. He did work for
Did you not meet Mandela through David Frost?
Yeah, that's true, yes, very briefly. He was on the programme, it was the day of the census, and I always wondered if Frost had got him on so he could stay at Frost's house the night of the census, where you have to say, you know, who's actually staying in your house. So David would put, "Oh, well, I suppose I'd better put Nelson Mandela." The idea that you can name drop in a census. And the following morning, so we're sitting in makeup, and they had this extraordinary thing. They used to have Match of the Day, which used to be before Frost's programme, and so Mandela's sitting in makeup.
Oh, not my usual, just make me look good.
And Frost's walking in, and he just sees Match of the Day in the corner, and Frost says to Mandela, "Do you know, I once had a trial for Nottingham Forest." And Mandela looked up and said,
"You were on trial?"
It was one of those conversations that was never going to go.
What
did you do?
What about you're saying there that Alistair Campbell objected to your portrayal of him in the show, not your portrayal, the actor's portrayal of him. What about the reaction that you had when you did David Blunkett? Because that was again on David's show, wasn't it? You got a bit of flack for that one.
Yeah, I did, but that was a strange one. Actually, that was on a Frost show, and the thing about doing characters is that I insist on doing them as accurately as I possibly can, and that means the physical thing too. And David Blunkett has this thing which a lot of blind people have, where it's a nervous thing, where their eyes move as they're talking, and David Blunkett does it like that. And I did it during a Frost programme, and I think it's important that I don't take the piss out of David Blunkett because he's blind. I take the piss out of him because he's David Blunkett.
Yes.
And but I think people laughed. No, when I did that, people laughed rather nervously at what I was doing with my eyes. And I actually screwed up the timing of the joke because people laughed. I was thinking, no, that's not what I'm making fun of. I'm making fun of Blunkett. And he sort of tried to help out by he wrote this letter saying, "I'm deeply relaxed about the impression that Rory does of me," which really offended. I was so offended by that.
I suppose you would draw the line, would you? Somebody with a speech defect?
I'd draw the line if somebody was dead, probably. But, well, you know, you just have to... You know, Gordon Brown's got that drop jaw that you do. And you do that. And, you know, if you're going to do him, you have to do the drop jaw. If you're going to do Blunkett, you have to do the blind bit. If you're going to do Michael Winner, you have to have the lobotomy. You know, you just have to... You know...